Alien Strand Podcast.
You want to learn about CE5 and extraterrestrial contact? Download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.
Alien Strand Podcast.
My grandmother, she was always adamant. And my daughter, she wanted to find out what it was, and she didn't care what people thought. And so, the day something better she went on, I know my grandmother and I, we got to work with it. I actually had blisters on my skin, on my face. I had flu-like symptoms. I had to miss a few days of school out of it. It's almost like a sunburn kind of feeling sick. Now you get the flu symptoms when you get sunburned.
And Ian from ET Connections on YouTube and mountain-gate.com.
And you're listening to the Alien Strand Podcast with Donald Ledesma.
Catch us on YouTube and hit like and subscribe. We'll see you there.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Well, it's going to be a pre-recorded one that you're going to be hearing today. We had a podcast last night, pretty interesting one about alien mutilations, all right? And if you're just joining us here on Alien Strand Podcast, welcome to Ufology. And, we have a lot of things to share today. Now, this, you can always go back and look at the video presentation if you have a chance. You can find it on YouTube and on Rumble. Right now, you can catch all of Alien Strand Podcasts on 26 to 28 platforms, Google, Apple Podcasts, Alexa. You can ask Alexa. What is it? We have all kinds. I can't even remember them right off the bat, right? It happens sometimes. It's a little bit of brain lock, but hey, it is what it is, right? But Alien Strand Podcast, we talk about UFOs, extraterrestrials, Bigfoot, spiritual, supernatural, everything of the unknown. And like I said, if you're new to this channel, welcome. Please give us a thumbs up. Give us comments on Spotify if you can. We are on Spotify. Yes, we are. We are on Deezer, all different kinds of podcasts. All your favorite ones, iHeartRadio. If those are your favorite ones, go look for Alien Strand Podcast. You'll find us there. All right. Today's podcast, it's going to be a pre-recorded one from last night, and it was an amazing podcast. It was a great one, very informative, and of course you have to visualize because you're listening to it on audio. And I want you guys just to understand that you can always go back and watch the video presentations on YouTube or Rumble. You can see them there. All right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put this amazing presentation audio for you because it has a lot to do with cattle mutilation and human mutilations, all right? So it can be a little gory at times, right? But we don't talk about this, and I'll be talking about this in the podcast, right? How we as society don't talk about the cattle mutilations or human mutilations, right? But it is happening on a daily thing, right? And this podcast is very important, and I hope you guys listen to it. Tell me what you think. Give me some comments, thumbs up, follow me on Patreon. Now, there's going to be a section in there where I'm going to talk about Patreon, where you can find this free book. Go look for it on Patreon. Join for free as a free member, and you can download that book for free. All right. So go check it out there on Patreon. Find us there on YouTube. Find us on Rumble. Follow us there on our video. Those are our video podcasting, right? Places, platforms where you can catch all of our videos. But as far as the audio, it's going to be here and everywhere else. All right. So here we go. Enjoy this podcast. Have an amazing day. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Don Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Man, it's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are doing well in audio land, too. This will be on audio as well. After we finish this podcast today, it'll be on audio on Spreaker, so you'll be seeing it there pop up. If you can't watch the presentation here, you can always catch up to it a little later on. We're live right now on YouTube, we're live on Rumble, and we're live on Twitch. So thank you guys for watching today. I hope you guys are enjoying the content that's coming out of Alien Strand Podcast. I know I've been out for a little bit, but I just been busy with my films. As you know me, I'm always on the go, right? Don't forget my book is CE5 Frequencies of Contact. It's low price, $2.99. Go check it out. It's right in my face. But it's okay. Hey, you know what? Today, we're going to get deep, and I just want to warn everybody before we get going that I am going to show some graphic content, not sexual, but it's going to be a lot of mutilations, all right? And it's not going to be a pretty sight. There is a lot of new stuff that just came out that's been out there in the forefront with extraterrestrials, UFOs. Man, there's just been a lot of good stuff been happening out there lately in the skies, right? And of course, the weather's changing. We're getting a little warmer. So down here in South Texas, it's been a little bit warmer, and I'm digging that, man. I love that because I love the cold weather too. Don't get me wrong. Before we start going there, but the weather is one of the biggest things, man, to get, just to be comfortable. Really, in reality, right? That's what we're trying to be, is be comfortable. And we've had the most perfect weather out there, and as it should be. Why not, right? So, I've been kind of real busy doing a lot of things. I got a few videos to show you guys, man, and this one, we're going to be talking about cattle mutilations, all right? Cattle mutilations and human mutilations, all right? Because this does happen. This is a topic that hasn't been talked about very, very much. And if it has been, it's been on the lower part of the news feeds that you were not grabbing. Why? Because we're too busy focused up in the skies, right? We're constantly looking up in the skies, looking at everything up there. We're not looking down, looking at our other news feeds at times. Don't get me wrong, we do have other people out there that are actually grabbed some really good video footage, like this one here with Mr. Ryan Keaton. He caught this great one a few months ago. It's a beautiful disc, man, and that's over there over San Antonio, Texas. One of the best ones that we've had, right, and that I've got to analyze, and you could see it just perfectly round, man. But these things are always up in the skies, right? And we always seem to be just kind of focused on the craft, never on the occupants or whatever's driving these things, right? And we really, really have to pay attention to that. So I'm going to show you this story, which is about, maybe 2 minutes long. But it's a great story. And this is going to coincide in everything that we're talking about with the cattle mutilations, all right? So here we go. I'm going to put this on for you real quick. Check this out. This is a very interesting story, something from the past during the Vietnam War, all right? And this is probably a story you've never heard before. I just grabbed it by by luck, really, in reality. And I'm excited to show it to you guys. Here it is.
What we came on was a fully intact B-52 aircraft that looked like it had just been grabbed out of the sky and gently put down on the ground. There was no crash. There was no sign of a crash. There was no crash trail or anything like that, which we thought was pretty odd to begin with. And we managed to gain entry through one of the emergency escape hatches, where we found the entire crew still strapped in their seats, mutilated like cattle. Tongues were missing. Closer examination showed that jaws were scraped clean. One of my guys took one of the bodies out of the seat and discovered that his rectum and genitals had been literally cored out like a biscuit cutter had been used. In the process of all of this, we had taken photographs of everything we found, and we got the hell out of there. In Saigon, we turned over all of our films, all the documents, maps, and everything else that we had collected. We were basically told, you will die if you disclose any of this information, so keep your traps shut.
All right. So the whole story, they told him at the very end because of that was an AI rendered video that you saw there, but it's just giving you the visual of what they were talking about. They found a complete aircraft in the jungle, like it had just been set down there, right? The occupants were still inside. Of course, they were missing their eyes, their genitalia, their rectum was gone, right? Like it had been cored out, right? What does that? And why, right? That was an old story from Vietnam, right? Did we ever hear about that? No, we didn't. We never heard anything about that, right? About anything that came out of that. This is the first time of me hearing about this. I don't know if any of you guys or gals or anybody out there has heard this before. Please let me know if you've heard that before, right? Because it's important, man, that these stories get out, right? Because we always visualize this picture here, okay? The picture there that we see how it's precision lasered, the jaw, the tongue that they're taking out of these cows. Sometimes the udders and things like that are taken out of the animal, right? It's a special part of the animal that is removed. Special glands as well, right? So we found out that there's a special gland inside of the cow that apparently, from Linda Howe, she talked about that that the extraterrestrials, they love this stuff, right? And this is their food, right? So when we talk about the abduction, like this B-52 aircraft, and what they did to the occupants inside, right? Basically, they killed them, right? Because they're no longer alive, but their bodies were still fresh there, right? Like it never happened, like right? But they were missing organs, no blood, things like that these extraterrestrials are doing, and they're grabbing from people as well, right? Not just animals, right? And we always see these photos of that one photo that's out there of the human that's missing part of its face, because of what they did. Like when I showed you this cattle, right? Now look at the cattle. Look what they did to the cattle, right? Right. Now this is going to be a graphic image, so just kind of, if you like it, look away just for a second. So look what they've done to this poor man's face, right? Same thing applies, right? Almost burned, right? So this is the why factor, right? And why we put so much trust in these little extraterrestrials, right? Most of the time, people, we all do it, right? We all think of them as nice little beings and extraterrestrials. They characterize them in these kind of photos, right? This is what people are seeing out there, and they draw pictures of them, and they want us to know what they look like. Yeah, we know what they look like, but what's their agenda, right? And of course, we had some stories with Mr. John Dickinson. His was a little bit different, but he did see a deceased person as well, but not in this kind of condition, right? So, and that is the hard part for it, right? Anibal is out there. Thank you for watching. My brother says I have to check some of those others that have found out that when they do this, some engines. The cuts, right? So because they're laser precision cuts that are happening to people, right? And and a lot of these cattle abductions do take place in front of others or while there's a live camera. We've all seen that one video, right? Of the, what was it? The Argentina, right? It was in 1983. The farmer just happened to be out there. We got this video camera. He decided to start filming, and he ends up catching this UFO actually abducting one of his cattle, right? And here it is right here. And as you can see there, the cattle is just going straight up in the air, and then his camera starts getting some kind of electronic magnetic disturbance there on the camera, right? Because back then we used tape, right? And magnetically, it'll do the same thing, right? It'll mess up. So here we're gonna see something a little bit closer. It's gonna slow it down a little bit, so you can see exactly what happened to that cow, right? And how these extraterrestrials and take these cattle at times, right? And of course, we're talking 1983, right? But still, look, you can see the UFO right there taking this cow, and it just takes off, right? In high speed. I mean, did they just get dinner that night? Hey, maybe, right? And it's kind of nuts how we have to think about that these extraterrestrials, not all of them. You got to remember, there's hundreds of these things out there, right? There's a lot of them, a lot of different species of these. They're not all going to act the same way. Not all going to act the same way. Some are going to be totally different than others. Maybe some don't eat that, right? Or they don't like that. I don't know. I haven't talked to an extraterrestrial to tell me what they like to eat. But, at that point, when you see something huge as this going across the sky, right? You're going to see something that's going to freak you out just for a minute, right? And it's going to throw you off, completely off of your thought process of everything that happens, right? And I love this quote right here. Aliens, not believing in the existence of aliens is like taking a spoonful of water from the ocean, right? And not knowing that there's thousands of these things out there, right? Because that's exactly what it is. There's thousands of these different kind of species out there, and whatever they do to human beings, it's some things are unfathomable, right? Some things that you don't want to think about, right? What they do, right? And it's awful what they do. And they take certain glands of things, and even children as well. I'm not going to show you no pictures of children like that. No, that's awful. But there's this gentleman. His name's Chris Belso. He's got an awesome book out there, and he talks about this as well. How people don't really talk about it, and how the government kind of keeps a real good hush hush on that particular subject, and why. And that's the thing. Why keep that part hush hush, right? So let's listen to a couple of words he has to say here real quick, and tell me what you think.
Animal mutilation, people missing in state parks, all that. They slowly but surely tying it into this UFO alien coming and getting people, eating us and eating our cows. That's what you're going to probably hear at some point if they get the nerve to do it. I think that the government has a hard time with credibility anymore. Nobody wants to believe them as a whole. So they've got a hard way to go doing disclosure. They will have a hard time at it because nobody wants to hear the negative. Nobody wants to hear there's no such thing as God, only aliens that eat people, and they eat little girls. I've heard this in briefings. which was sick. People trying to come up with this thing to tell to the public.
This is what Ryan mentioned that the To the Stars guys said about the slitting a little girl. I can't even say this on YouTube, but that's the narrative that they were attempting to push.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That it was going to be slanted evil or dark, so we wouldn't mess with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the high road and said, no, thank you. I'm not selling my soul to no one. I'm going to tell it the way I experience it. I don't go to these UFO shows and involve myself with all these other people, so I don't take on their. I want to be true to me, and for 18 years I've been a loner.
All right, guys, let's take a quick 5 minutes, pay the bills. We'll be back in just a minute.
Alien Strand Podcast.
All right, welcome back. Let's continue on with the show.
Studying with scientists, and I've had congressmen at my house, senators, all have seen this with me. And animal mutilation, people missing.
All right, so he's talking about, the same things we're talking about here today, that the mutilations, and they're out there. It's just that we tend to put them to the side, and there's a lot of evilness that goes along with that as well, right? That's possibly infused with this. And like he said at the very end, I'm alone in this. I'm a loner, right? He's kind of like, he doesn't want to be famous, but his stuff is starting to get out there now. People are starting to notice him, and notice what he's saying is true, right? The same things that we've been doing here on Alien Strand, the same things, right? We're not famous either, or anything like that, but and I think we're going to be remaining in our own little classroom. Let's just say it this way. So that way people, when they come to the classroom or whatever this is, for you guys, that they know that we're here to help people and to give you awareness, right, of what's going on out there in the world of ufology, right? Especially when we're looking at Skinny Bob here, these extraterrestrials that are out there, right? And we see, and in my films, what I try to do is I try to show you the extraterrestrial. I don't know if you've noticed this more and more and more, because I want people to recognize the fact that there is an extraterrestrial inside of this craft, and it is piloting these crafts, and they are doing other things as well, right? So, and this is the kind of awareness that I've been trying to do for a while, right? It says, David says, could have a lot to do with those children that are missing. I pray that it's not, but what if, right? It's a possibility. A lot of them go missing in the forestry areas, right? National parks, man. There's a movie about it, great documentary. I talk about it all the time, Missing 411. I believe everybody should see this, because it kind of narrows it down to the subject of extraterrestrials, right? Or something else, right? So let's watch this other video. This was in Australia, I believe, this past year. This gentleman found a dead cow, and he walked up to it, and this is what you're going to see from it, all right? All right, so he's walking up to the cow, and right there, if you look at the udder, it's got a big laser precision cut around the udder. Like a perfect circle around the udder, right? For the people in audio world, that's exactly what's happening. He's walking up to this broad daylight. Dead cow, looks like it's probably been deceased maybe a couple of days, maybe 2 or 3 days. And it has the same characteristics as we start seeing in a lot of these mutilations, right? Laser precision. Why take that part, right? There's something in there that they like, right? And this is what we all try to figure out. Now, I have a book, and I believe it's free. It's on my Patreon site. So if you go to the Patreon, join as a free member. You don't have to do the paid one. Join as a free member, and there's a book called The Pulsar Project that you can download if you're a member for free, right? That's going to tell you exactly what they're doing as far as the extraterrestrials with these mutilations, right? And what they're doing with everything that they're grabbing, right? How they put everything in a big vat and it's just mixing around in there, and they use that to feed. They don't feed through their mouths like us. They, like I've talked about before, it's a paste. They put it on their skin, and it soaks into their skin and their enzymes, and that's what gives them the nutrition that they need to eat, right? So, and if they can't find a cow or there are too many people around, hey, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to grab a person out in the forest or whatever it is and get whatever they need, right? So they got to eat, right? And that's the scary part about that, right? That's super scary about that, because you can be at the wrong place at the wrong time when that happens. Now, this is going to be I got a news report here from Oregon. Yes, Oregon. And it's fairly new. And what we were talking about, what I've talked about before, and with Terry, and we wanted to get into this subject because we believe it just goes a little deeper and darker than what we think it is. So let's watch this report real quick.
More cattle killings in remote parts of Crook County has prompted the Sheriff's Department to issue a statement encouraging ranchers to keep a closer eye on their herds and to report any sightings of anything out of the ordinary.
Deputies have responded to 3 or 4 cases out in the eastern and southern portions of Crook County.
Both cows and bulls are being killed, and in many instances, their ears, tongues, and genitals are being removed with surgical precision.
These cases have been going on for since the mid-'70s.
It's pretty sad that somebody come in and take somebody's private stock and kill them. Even the ranchers, I'm sure that they're fit to be tied to find out who's doing all this.
The cattle killings are a mystery Under Sheriff Savage wants to solve.
Senseless thing to do to one these animals suffer, to affects our stock growers. So, and the fact that we've never been able to solve any of these cases, it's discouraging.
More cattle.
It's discouraging because they can't solve the case, right? They don't know what it is. They don't know what's doing it, right? They don't know what it is. But I think we do. Yeah. I think we do. I think we know what it is and why. I believe that these extraterrestrials are hungry, right? And of course, in Oregon and Washington State, up there where Larry lives, and a bunch of people that I know in that whole general western side of the United States, they see so much UFO activity. It's unbelievable, and it's usually an out of area, mountainous area, grasslands. Of course, there's gonna be nothing but cattle out there, right? And this is why these ranchers are starting to find these things. But what about when they take you as well, right? Now they do these biopsies and they do tests on people, and sometimes they don't. Well, let's just say half, 50-50. I'm going to put it to you that way. That don't get person does not get deceased, right? They don't kill them, in other words. So, and they're just there, just doing procedures on them. Checking their organs, checking everything, taking samples, sperm samples, all kinds of blood samples, brain tissue, anything that they can get from you to test possibly our DNA. We've talked about that over and over and over, right? That they can't multiply. They can't duplicate themselves. They have no sexual organs, right? So, of course, they clone each other. And apparently that's where we got the cloning idea here in the 80s, right? When they started cloning animals, late 80s, early 90s, right? So this is where they got the idea from the extraterrestrials. It came out later that this is how they showed them how to do this, right? They showed scientists how to do this, which was these little guys. Of course, once they landed, right? once they landed, and then we captured them, or they just had their little meetings, right? And there we go, all over again. They're giving out their information because they want to do it peacefully, let's just say, on this typical race, but yet they showed them things on how to do different styles of biopsies, possibly, right? And checking different tissues and DNA samples, and just to know how to clone something, right? So we learned it from them, right? And then not too long ago, it was about 3 months ago, I had that UFO sighting over my home, and then bam, I get this triangular shape when I wake up on my leg, right? And then I'm like, okay, what's going on and why? Now, did I have another one after that? No, I haven't seen another UFO or extraterrestrial craft since that day, right? And it's strange because I figured that we would get more of a close-up and in-depth once this is happening, that they would come around a little bit more, because that's what I see with most people. When somebody starts getting closer and closer to these extraterrestrials or UFOs or objects out there, they start, homing in the frequencies, right? Remember I told you, you're the frequency, you're the antenna. And they start coming to you more and more and more. So in my situation, they haven't, right? Maybe something they don't like. Or just maybe I'm just doing something right that they don't have to. Hey, this is just my thinking. But that's the possibility of what it possibly is. Now, here's another video. This video was shot in 2019 in Florida. This man was noticing a lot of lights going into the field late at night. He said, I would see these lights come in and out in this field. They walk out there the next day. Guess what? Yeah, you guessed it. Cattle.
All these bones are out here. This is where we see the lights every night. And that looks like a dead cow. And this looks like a dead cow up here. Last night, there were lights everywhere out here. Jody, that is a cow. Holy cow.
Is that a pun?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Nothing is even eating on it.
So there he goes, walking towards the cow. Look at the cow.
What the fuck? Something's cut the red meat out. Holy crud.
How fresh do you think that is?
That's been cut last night. There's no blood anywhere. There's no eye. There's no blood. Jody, there's no blood. Honey, there's no blood. It don't even really smell. There's no Maggies, there's no nothing. Look that way. The smoke.
All right. You blown away yet? Yeah. He said he saw the lights. There's no blood on that cow. Looks like a fresh kill. It's missing all the insides. There's no blood on the ground. Precision cuts around the rib area, around the anal part of it. Everything's gone. No eyeballs either. All right. I told you guys this was going to be a little graphic. I don't know if you guys are used to seeing dead animals, but this is what has to be shown, because what we're seeing here is what they're doing out there, right? These extraterrestrials, what they are doing to humans, what they are doing to cattle, and what else it does, right? Of course, we've talked about missing children all the time, right? They're innocent. They don't know anything. David Alief says, pretty clean. For a butcher, clean lines too. So he saw that everything there, was, and if you're listening in audio world, please go back and look at the video, because that video is going to blow you away, because just of that, there is no blood, there's nothing there for you to see that parts were removed from this cow. For what reason, right? And we already know it's to eat. We already know. Remember when I got this video, this still photo from this new kind of extraterrestrial was strange. Remember I tell you, there's all different kinds out there, right? Who knows? Maybe this is one of them that was doing that. Who knows? And there are different kind of UFOs, different crafts that we see. Here's a new one that just came out. Now, this is going to look like balloons to you, but it's not. It's not balloons. Watch, it's an old footage. Check this out. Now, this is in July 1st, 2007 at noon, right? Noon 02 p.m. And you start seeing it kind of take into a different shape. It's something way up in the sky, dark sky. And there's a point in the video, I believe, when it comes a little bit closer on the video, that you can see something in the bottom that looks like the Y shape. It starts moving back and forth. So whatever that is right there, is actually moving back and forth, right? So, and there, like I said, there's different shapes of crafts, UFOs out there, everything that we see up there, right? And we have to know that everything that's up there are these extraterrestrials are piloting these things, right? We know that. And there's, like I tell you, there's all different shapes, sizes, and forms of these things. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute.
Alien Strand Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the show. Hope you're enjoying the content that's coming out of this one today. If you like it, please give us a thumbs up, some hearts, and please share this podcast. Now back to the show. And I say it over and over, and I might sound repetitive at times, but I want you guys to know that not all these things are going to be friendly, right? So keep your contact at a distance, and it's a possibility that the ones that do look, this is the whole story here. If you kind of think about it, have you ever heard a story of an abductee saying I saw them cutting up a cow and they were eating and they were doing all this, and then they took me back home? No, you're never going to hear that story. Because what happened to them is exactly what happened to the cow, right? And that's what you have to think about. You're never going to hear that story from anybody that they've seen it, because if they're eating that cow, they're going to eat you too. Guaranteed. Guaranteed, man. I got another video to show you. This was a great one, man. These guys were filming an interview. It's in a different country. I couldn't understand the language, but they actually catch a cow being abducted in the background, right, while they're doing this interview. And the guy has to put the camera, walk away from the tripod as he's filming to tell him, hey, something just happened behind you, right? And this is what you're going to see here real quick. Here we go. So they just noticed the cow flying. Now it's coming towards them, the UFO, right? And they're running back towards the camera. This is broad daylight. And you see another video of the cow going straight up in the air, right? And it happens live, right? I've never seen that video before, ever, right? I happen to have found it. All these videos I found because I was really, really having to dig for it deep. You know, it's hard to think that these extraterrestrials are doing this, but they are, right? And they've been doing this. There's even cases from 1893 or something like that. I saw it a little while ago. And it reminds me of that. Remember that one extraterrestrial that I posted out there? Everybody went nuts on it. It was the photo of a extraterrestrial underground that they caught in Arizona, somewhere out there in a cave. It was real slimy looking. Well, I found the video. Yes, I did. So check this out real quick, just to see what you think, and just look at it. Oh no. So that's the pictures. So I guess I put the wrong one up there, but it's okay. I'll throw the video on the next one. Let me see. I don't know if I put it up here. I might have not. But I mean, we all saw this, what it looks like, right? And it's slimy looking. It's horrible to see. And it's. I mean, I don't know. It's. I can't. If I would be. I'm going to be honest with you. If I saw something like that up close, I'd probably be scared to death, right? I've seen something like that up close. Because we're so used to seeing them all, you know, skinny bobbed out and everything like that. When you see something ugly like that, you know, it doesn't compute right away, right? And it just starts scaring the hell out of you from then on. And we're so used to seeing these kind of videos, right? Well, the extraterrestrial out there and it's covering its face, you know, things like that. And I'm always thinking outside the box, always, because I always think about, you know, why are they doing these things? And when I saw the story today about the Vietnam veteran and what had happened back then, and then they told him he had to be quiet about it, right? He had to be completely quiet. He better not say anything or something was going to happen, right? How many times did we hear that story over and over and over? That something was about to happen. Anibas says, absolutely. That tells me that possibly they are doing the mutilation in their craft. Exactly. David says exactly. Yeah. That's what's happening, man. And then they come back and they drop it back off because they don't want the rest of the carcass, right? Same thing they do to the human beings. They don't want the same thing. Now, there was an older story of a horse that went missing. And I believe it was in like 1930s or something like that. I'll go back and look. Well, I'm going to put it on here just a second so you guys can see the story. And, you know, there it is right there. On September 7th, 1967, near a town of Alamosa, in the San Luis Valley, Snippy was a 3-year-old Appaloosa and failed to return to the Harry King Ranch, where she was stabled. Snippy remains roughly a quarter mile from the ranch house, according to the accountant. The neck and head had completely been stripped off of flesh, leaving nothing but bare and seemingly sun bleached white bone, while the remainder of the mare remained unscathed, right? In other words, they did the same thing to the head. And that's what you're looking at there is the head of the cow. Like it was completely taken out. The all the skin and everything off the cow. I mean, off the horse. So they're doing the same thing to horses as they're doing to cows. Same exact thing. It says King returned the next day, accompanied by let's see, let me look at that again. Accompanied by the horse's owners, and they determined that unraveled the mystery of surrounding Snippy's untimely death, right? So they have questions of what happened to this poor horse, right? And this is a picture of the sheriff as they came around and looked at it, right? So it says there was no blood found around the body, and flesh appeared to have been removed neatly with precision. A number of darkened patches, said the witnesses, to look like the scorched exhaust marks, like it was burned, right? We found in the vicinity of the carcass, roughly 100 yards away, discovering the shrub was squashed nearly flat. So something landed there, right? Nearby, there was a series of 6 small round indentions on the ground around this, like a circle, right? So in other words, a UFO landed there and did what it was going to do, and there you go. And then it continues. There were some other elements in initial reports as well. At one point, the exposed bones allegedly appeared to be bright pink. One person reported that that her palm became incredibly itchy after handling some of the fur, or a piece of metal, or a piece of hide. It says, and it said it had a slick, sweet smell, sickly smell that hung around the air of the body, right? And, you know, this is stuff that happened to horses as well, right? And just like I was saying earlier, that if there's no people around, there's no cows around, what else is there, right? So they're going to grab whatever they can. So that day, it was horse, Appaloosa. In other words, these things, they don't care, right? They don't care at all.
Alien Strand Podcast.
All right, welcome back. Let's finish off this show. Hope you guys enjoying the content. And they're going to do whatever they're going to do to eat, right? They're going to do whatever they're going to do to abduct you as well. And they're going to do all kinds of tests on you if you survive. And if you don't, you're going to end up like that poor guy I just showed earlier, right? Sometimes you'll wake up with a piece of body, a piece of skin missing from your body, like I did. These things are always watching, always. Constantly watching. David Aliff says, to get the sun bleaching would take a lot of power, maybe radiation. I wonder. They got sick afterwards from being near it. Radiation. Yeah, I believe it's a possibility. I wish we could have known what had happened later to the people, but that's the only story that I actually found on that particular subject from that time, right? And this is a subject that's super touchy, right? Super strange to talk about because, when we see extraterrestrials inside of orbs, this is an extraterrestrial inside of an orb, right? We just tend to look at them as, oh, look at them, oh, yeah. But don't forget what they like to do, right? Oh, they're cute. No, they're not. No, they're not. And with this podcast, I wanted you guys to understand that what has been happening through the ages, like that first video in Vietnam, and they told them to be quiet, and these pilots, who were they, right? I'm sure their families, but I'm sure they're going to tell them that they died in a firefight or whatever. This is what the veil is for, and this is what they do. They'll cover it all up. This is what Mr. Belsode was talking about, how the government will cover it completely up because they don't want you to know that about these little things or these nasty things, right? Whatever they do. They don't want you to know any of that. But I'm here at Alien Strand. I'm just giving you awareness, right? That this is happening. It's still happening today. Still happening today, right? And we always have to just stay on our toes, constantly looking around, man, because you don't want to be tricked by these little tricksters here, man. Because they can be. They can be. And we'll get suckered in and just by looking at their sizes. They're 3 foot tall, 3.5 feet tall, 4 feet, maybe in some. Right? But yet they have the ability to control your mind and your body. And they'll give you paralysis, right? They do have those abilities. So, I mean, cows and horses, I doubt it if they did that to them. People, they know we have more of a consciousness. So, in that sense, if you really think about it, that's exactly what it is. It's consciousness that we have. And they know that, we know what's going on. We can communicate, right? And I always talked about the aliens and people. What is the connection, right? What is the connection? Is it our blood? Is it our just who we are as bipedal? 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, 2 ears, 1 mouth, 2 eyes, right? Or is it something different that they're just rounding us up like cattle somewhere, right? For the people that don't come back. We got to remember that there's people that don't come back. And I'm not here to preach fear or anything like that, but just kind of to show you awareness that keep them there, but keep them at a distance too, right? There's ways of doing that. Constant ways. You don't want to end up like this guy. At all. As much as I hated to show that, I have to. Because this is what we're seeing everywhere. And it's probably happening to more people out there. We just are not seeing they're getting rid of the evidence as fast as they get it, right? I don't know. I'm probably being a little bit of conspiratorial right now, but this is exactly what I'm thinking that it's a possibility of what's going on in that situation, right? So I hope you guys, learned a little bit and just kind of seen what's going on behind the scenes as well on this podcast. It's coming to an end. And for today, And I hope you guys enjoyed today's content, and just I know it's not enjoyable to see that kind of graphic content, but it's something that you have to know. Me personally, to show you, seeing is believing, right? This isn't on my film. Seeing is believing, and seeing that is believing what these things can do, right? On all of these films here, every single one of them, seeing is believing. They're all on Amazon Prime. There's a couple of free ones on Tubi and everything out there, right? 4's not out yet. It's going to be out soon. It's going to be a good one, man. I get the goosebumps just watching it over and over. It's going to be a good one, man. I'm about 45 minutes into the film. I got another 45 minutes to go. John says, great show, brother. Thank you, John. David says, Anibal, yes, it is. It's an eye-opener. David says, Don, we need all the information. It's good or bad. We need to be able to process the truth ourselves. And that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And you know me, I tell it like it is. I had one podcast. I hadn't taken it out of rotation yet, but I cussed like a sailor on that one, right? And you know, whether you liked what I said or I didn't, I mean, I tell it like it is, right? And that's just me. I'm that person. I say it like it is. Do I joke around a lot? Yes, I do. If you go to my personal Facebook page and you go look, I'm going to at least make you spit your coffee out at least once or twice a day. All right. So that's just the way it is. I love doing that because I love to laugh. I love to smile in the mornings. That's just my thing. I'm that guy. Right? I'm that guy. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. You know, it's my absolute pleasure to bringing you this podcast today, you know, and just showing you the ins and outs and everything that has to do with extraterrestrials, mutilations of cattle, even horses, man. Even horses. I love horses. They're pretty too, man. But they do that too, right? If you got a chance, go look at this right here. Check out americascoffee.com, one of the sponsors. Go check that out. Amazing taste. I'm drinking some right now. Look, I'm always drinking the coffee on a podcast, right? How do you get so much energy, man? How? Well, this is how. Drinking some good coffee, man. And that's what it's about. Having good company with you guys. Thank you guys for watching today. I really love you guys. You know, there's a few people out there watching today. Thank you for watching. I hope I showed you some cool stuff. I do have another podcast coming up on audio after this one. So you'll have 2 on audio coming out, right? And of course, this one video presentation, you'll see it here on YouTube. You'll see it on Patreon. And that's about it. Facebook don't like me for some reason. They don't let me put it up there on Facebook. It's okay. As long as you guys know where to come. Give me some thumbs up, man. Give me some hearts. Give me some thumbs up here on YouTube and on Rumble. I really appreciate it. Please share this podcast as many people as possible. If you thought it was not just entertaining but informative, I really would appreciate some feedback on it. And I love to teach, you know, and the best way I can. I do it the best way I can. Right? Might not be, you know, scholar-wise, but I do it my way, right? And you did it my way, and that's how I did it. All right, guys, have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening, and have yourselves a good night. See you later, alligator. And don't be walking out in the forest by yourself, man. Take a shotgun with you every day.
Alien Strand Podcast.
You want to learn about CE5 and extraterrestrial contact? Download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.